Hey everyone, it's Michael and welcome back to Boxmining. So it's near the end of the year now. It's almost the end of 2019 and we're going to flip that page over to 2020. So I want to make this video about the new updates coming to crypto, what I'm excited for. And to be honest, doing research for this video, I was really excited. I got more and more excited because I found more and more big impacts that are going to come and set certain dates that, well, things are going to get really honestly delivered by. So we'll explore some things like the Bitcoin halvening that you probably will know, but we're going to explore in detail what that means. And we're also going to look at some drastic effects and different factors coming on. For example, DCEP is going to launch next year, the Chinese national currency. We also have Ethereum 2.0. We're going to look at the possibilities of what they're going to deliver, global political factors as well, that whilst it might not seem like that much, will have a giant impact. So make sure you stay till the end to find out really what is going to happen in 2020. Before we start this video, I'd like to say that this video is made possible with help from Vid, which is a platform to share and store your memories. And if you want to find out more about Vid, make sure you stick till the end because I'm going to talk about what the platform is and how to get involved as well. Spoiler alert, of course, there's a link in the description down below, which you should check out. And of course, if you guys haven't subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you're subscribed. Click that little notification bell because that is how to get notified of the latest cryptocurrency updates just when they arrive. Sounding the Halvening. All right, so what exactly is this event? So it's going to happen on the 14th of May, and no matter what, it's going to have the mining supply of Bitcoin. So right now, in terms of my notes, I got Bitcoin production every day. So this is happening every day right now. Miners are mining a total of 1,800 Bitcoin per day, which amounts to 12,900,000 US dollars. That's a lot of money. Think about it. Miners, they use electricity to mine this up, so they have a strong desire to sell that on the open market because after all, they need to make up their business expenditure. This means there's immense sell pressure on Bitcoin right now, and yeah, $12 million per day, almost 13 million, that's not nothing. What's going to happen with the halvening is that the amount of Bitcoin being mined, the block reward, is going to precisely halve. It's going to cut right down to 900 Bitcoin being produced per day. You can find more information about this on bitcoinblockrewardhalving.com, and it shows you exactly what the current inflation rate is when the halving event is expected to happen. Why I say expected to happen is because Bitcoin operates on block time rather than human time. So right now, there is a random variation on the date and the precise time at when it's going to happen. But what there isn't a variation of, what there is no discussion about, is that there's definitely not going to be a change to the halvening. The halvening cannot be canceled because it's hardwired in the code of Bitcoin. And I want to make this very clear as well. Even if there's more miners, even if there's more hash power, even if they're trying harder, there's no way to increase the production of Bitcoin per day because that's based on mathematics and is based on difficulty, adaptive difficulty, more or less. And this really has immense implication in the long term. So let's look at the stock and the flow model. So this stock and flow model is used for a lot of the heavy metals or the precious metals like gold, platinum, and silver. The idea is that the production and the stock, how much there is in the world, that ratio has immense implications on the price. What's going to happen with the halvening is that the flow, that's going to halve because the amount produced by the mining industry, that's going to be half once the halvening comes. The stock flow ratio is going to go up. And so in theory, that's going to push up the price of Bitcoin. I mean, it makes sense because there's less miners selling that Bitcoin on a daily basis, and the demand, we will assume, will be the same. So on that sudden day, there will be a flip, and this is the theory behind it, and you can check out the stock flow model. I'm going to put a link down below. I do have to put a note here is that even though we know the date that this is going to happen, usually what happens is that people try to front run this change. So usually price changes, they're going to have come before the halvening. And in the past halvening events, and also in other coins happening, like Litecoins, this is exactly the trend that we see. Hype really comes before the Halvening event, usually 1 or 2 months before. Exchanges will put out messages, oh, Halvening is coming, be prepared, check your emails and notifications, etc. And this is when there's hype. And then after, when the Halvening event actually hits, that's when, the news kind of dies down a little bit. So just be careful of that when it happens. Next up, we have Ethereum. So Ethereum is not going to stand idly by and watch Bitcoin halve. It's also going to have huge implementations and improvements. Here I have the Ethereum roadmap for 2020. We just finished the Istanbul upgrade that's done successfully. And now what's really exciting is Ethereum 2.0. Now, here's what's going to happen. It states this roadmap is a little bit out of date. Hopefully by the end of 2019 or the early 2020, we're going to see beacon chains come in place. This is the first part of moving towards Ethereum 2.0, and it's going to set in motion what is going to be proof of stake on Ethereum. Now on this channel, we talked about proof of stake for the longest amount of time. In essence, what Ethereum is going to do is that it's going to ditch miners. It's going to say, yeah, that's too energetically unfavorable. We're going to let people stake Ethereum. Right now, the target is set at 36 ETH. So people holding ETH, they can earn more ETH and validate the network as time goes on. Now, this will actually generate buy pressure for ETH as people want to stake and miners get deprecated. So this is going to have a huge fundamental shift in the economics behind Ethereum. And also, it's going to promote, more importantly, more network upgrades to come. So it's kind of a double win, if you call it. We do know that these network upgrades are very important because we saw in 2017 that Ethereum was really chugging along. It kind of wasn't scaling fast enough. And with Ethereum 2.0, there are talks about implementing sharding, and this is when scaling can really go forward and take a leap for Ethereum as well. So lots to be excited about. I'm obviously holding myself back a little bit. It might be late in 2020 where this happens. There's no exact date yet. If you guys want to see what's happening with the beacon chain system, it's actually really interesting in terms of how this chain will provide the foundation for stakeholders and staking to take place and how to divvy up rewards in the future. So it's really theoretically super exciting. And in terms of implementation, you can check out the ETH 2.0 project management page. This has all the meeting notes going up to November of this year. There are discussions, basically, the meetings and calls and discussions about what's going to happen and the latest news on when this is going to be deployed. So yeah, lots to be excited about coming to Ethereum. And actually, it's coming at a good time too, because we've seen the growth of decentralized finance, or more, happily called DeFi. So what's happening right now is that the use of Ethereum in financial applications, people have identified that to be one of the biggest aspects because we have decentralized trust. We don't have a central party kind of controlling and pointing to everything. Now, in terms of DeFi, you can actually look at DeFi Pulse and look at the amount locked up in terms of ETH, which is right now at a formidable $650 million worth of ETH locked up in decentralized finance. There's a lot of developments here, and 2020 will definitely be a year that we kind of push this further in the boundaries of what we can do with decentralized finance, whether it's creating stable currencies, creating derivatives products, creating oracles. So it's definitely worth looking into. Next up, I'm going to move a little bit away from tech developments to regulation and political developments. I know it's always a big mess, but politics also has a drastic effect on the use cases and kind of the ability to adopt crypto. Now, 2020 is set to become a much more crypto-friendly year. And this is we got messages from the CTFC chair. He's very, very bullish on crypto and setting regulations that give regulatory clarity. I think this is actually a key word. It doesn't really even have to be friendly at this current point. Right now, because it's actually, crypto is kind of in that gray zone between securities and also commodities, depending on which crypto it is, and it could be potentially various departments fighting over it. Having regulatory clarity means a lot more productive work rather than just paying projects paying up tons of money for lawyers. Here, once the lines are drawn, people know how to operate, that clarity is given, and that's when people feel much safer in the space. So honestly, when it comes to projects and various altcoins, clarity is good. Now, I do have to make a caveat here and say, look, for Bitcoin, it's kind of really necessary for Bitcoin to be beyond regulation. I mean, that's the power of Bitcoin, is the sad fact that no one has central say over Bitcoin as a currency and as a global currency. So on that front as well, I really want Bitcoin and to really see the action of and the power of a global decentralized finance. This idea of having Bitcoin transcending nations is actually really important in 2020 as well, because we're going to have trade wars. It's not going to go away, let's be honest here. Right now, both US and China, they're heating up. And the interesting fact is that China is using currency as a weapon in this war. So there's financial restrictions right now in China as how much currency you can send overseas and limitations on how you can spend that. Honestly, that's not really good. It's not cool for Chinese citizens. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have hard-earned cash, why can't you spend how you wish? Why do you have to fill in a form for approval for the government to, oh yeah, go on a vacation in the States or go on vacation in Europe? So at the end of the day, Bitcoin really transcends that. Because no one owns a network, because it is decentralized, it gives us a way to globally use and transfer value. Here, I say Bitcoin more than other currencies because Bitcoin is more liquid worldwide, but we can also see different coins getting that higher liquidity as well. So that's a discussion for another time. But for now, Bitcoin is the most spendable currency. Anywhere you go, you can bring some Bitcoin with you and just change it to cash or vice versa. Speaking of regulation as well, this is the biggest thing holding Facebook Libra back. And here is where I'm going to step in and say, look, I don't want to be too optimistic here with Facebook Libra. Basically, they've encountered huge hurdles when it came to presenting this to US Congress. And well, their promise was that they're not going to release it until regulators are happy with it. Honestly, this is why I don't really see Facebook Libra being released in 2020. And if it does, it'll probably be released in a very, very limited form. Here, I see Libra as maybe a long-term kind of idea, but in terms of appeasing current political developments and politicians, Facebook's got a huge, huge step and hurdle ahead of them, especially when they're dealing with their privacy concerns, antitrust. Yeah, I don't really see Libra jumping in 2020. I also want to make a mention here for security token offerings. So the idea that we can hold securities in token form and basically transfer them as if any other token on any other network like ERC20 tokens, etc. That's a powerful idea because it combines global liquidity, 24-hour trading, pretty much that's demonstrated and trusted by cryptocurrency exchanges. But if we can touch securities, that would be amazing. Of course, 2019 security tokens took a little bit of a stumble. Getting regulatory approval, yeah, getting liquidity, yeah. And this is why a lot of people lost interest in STOs. In 2020, what I see is small developments forward. I don't see giant leaps happening in 2020 just yet, just because regulation space doesn't move very quickly, especially when it comes to securities. At the end of the day, securities is very, very well tightly controlled by groups of politicians that can make a lot of money from this. So I don't see them releasing control immediately. What I do see is just slightly small developments, especially when it comes to regulations on Reg A plus STOs and just getting that kind of marble dropped in emotion. Lastly, this is a big one. So national digital currencies. We talked about China's DCEP. They're trying to lead the way with this. And essentially, I think a lot of people didn't want to call this a cryptocurrency per se because it's so different from Bitcoin. But what I have to say is this: it's based on cryptography and it's a currency. So voila, it's a cryptocurrency. All right, I want to point out very early on that I'm not saying that DCEP will change the world. It's going to be a major currency. It's going to replace Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that because DCEP is being given to average Joes and it's going to be pushed out by major brands like WeChat Pay or Alibaba in Alipay, essentially it was going to get normies to understand how to hold custody of cryptocurrencies. At the end of the day, custody is such a big problem. I mean, you can teach your grandma how to click buttons and send crypto, but teaching her how to effectively understand and keep that cryptocurrency over a long period of time, that's extremely hard. So what DCEP will really do, and this goes to other national digital currencies as well, is that it will allow people to understand the rules associated with how to keep your crypto safe, how to protect it properly, how to back up key phrases. These things are vital for mass global adoption of crypto. What's going to happen with China is that they're going to test this in Shenzhen first. That's stated to be the end of 2019, start early of 2020, depending on how politics works. But what's going to happen is that they're going to first test it in Shenzhen and then grow that to multiple cities in China. Now, they're also going to give this to the big fintech companies, Alipay, WeChat Pay. So these companies will have the responsibility of teaching people how to use crypto. And that's going to be really good because they're going to start to understand just the basics behind how to use and kind of understand the key theories and ideas behind cryptographic knowledge and storage. On top of this, what's going to be really good is it's going to give this understanding that crypto is safe. Right now, I think there's still a lot of fear coming from quantum. People think, oh, quantum computing, it's going to challenge crypto. Having government national-based cryptocurrencies, that's going to really set that fear aside. And people are going to understand, you know what? Yeah, that quantum threat, that's not going to come in 20, 50 years. So yeah, we're safe. This video is made possible with help from Vid. Vid is pioneering what is essentially dubbed the memory media industry. Essentially, it combines your photos, your videos, those memories, those important memories of you into a day, into a searchable, accessible, and not to be forgotten format. What they're doing is they're creating this app, and it's going to be launched very soon on the 24th of December. That's coming up this month, and it's going to demo that technology that makes this all possible, essentially using smart algorithms to combine everything together so you don't really have to spend that time editing and compositing everything. They're essentially just trying to build what could be the next Instagram. They've already signed up TikTok influencers like Christian Hancher, who has over 300 million followers. To make this app viral, Vid has created the Vi token. The Vi token is a direct incentive and reward for any user who invites family and friends and get them to use this app. Users and content creators on Vid will be rewarded Vi tokens for essentially sharing their memories, inviting their family to get on board, and also helping promote and exposing brand exposure to advertisers. The Vi token is essential for advertisers to get on board the platform, essentially what Instagram is doing now with their ads. Advertisers must pay in Vi tokens and users are directly incentivized and rewarded for creating media. In terms of token economics, tokens are only injected as users join the platform. So this will avoid issues that were experienced like token dumping. And in terms of large investors and foundations, they are locked up for 12 to 24 months. This means that when the platform is launched, new tokens are only introduced as more advertisers are coming in, as users are growing, and that's going to provide the fuel for the growth of the platform. 50% will be allocated to the creator pool and 50% will be added to the Vid Foundation pool. Currently, in the time leading up to the launch of their app on the 24th, they're offering Vi tokens for sale, and the funny thing is that the price goes up by 1 cent each day. Now, if you're interested in VID tokens, make sure you check it out on the link down below and check out what they're doing. And it has content like the demo of the app. And of course, check out their app on the 24th of December. I'd like to say a big thank you to VID for making this content and video possible. And guys, that is it. So that is my list of the biggest developments that I am looking forward to in 2020. Obviously, there are things that, like a million things that could be added on as well. And I'd love to hear what you are excited about, whether it's developments with a particular project or politically, what's going to happen. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. And guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and a big thank you to VID. If you guys are interested, make sure you check out the link down below. And of course, make sure you like, subscribe, notification bell, all that cool stuff. See you in the next one.